Good evening and welcome to the July 15, 2025 City Council regular hybrid meeting. I'm Mayor Salim Neese. This evening's hybrid City Council meeting is being brought to you in person and by Zoom. We're also broadcasting live on MITV Channel 21 and on the city's YouTube channel. Welcome and thanks for joining us tonight. Council members, please have your microphones turned off for roll call. City Clerk Andrea Larson, please call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Andral. Here. Councilmember Becker.
Here.
Councilmember Reynolds.
Here.
Councilmember Weicker is not arrived yet. Councilmember Weinberg.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum.
Here.
And Mayor Neese.
Here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And if you'll note that Councilmember Andral has joined us remotely. Next, we have the Pledge of Allegiance. If you're in council chambers, please stand and face the flag. If you're on video, please turn off your video so we can see the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we now move to approval of tonight's agenda. If there's no questions, may I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
All right.
Second.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum, seconded by Councilmember Weinberg. City Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mayor Neese.
Aye.
Councilmember Weicker is still not here. Councilmember Becker.
Aye.
Councilmember Andral. Aye. Councilmember Reynolds.
Aye.
Councilmember Weinberg.
Aye.
And Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Motion passes. The agenda is approved. And the next item on the agenda is a study session on AB 6731, Training on Use of Public Office or Agency Facilities and Campaigns, RCW 4217A 555. And welcome City Manager Jesse Bond and Anne Marie Soto from Madrona Law remotely.
Hi there. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I think I'll just turn this right over to Anne Marie Soto, who is from Madrona Law and one of our outside legal counsel. Anne Marie?
All right, thank you everyone for having me. I apologize that I'm not there in person, but as you can probably tell by my voice, I'm a little under the weather, having just come back from vacation, so that was a nice little souvenir that I brought home with me. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen and then we'll just jump right in. It might be a little hard for me to see any hands raised while I'm presenting. So if you want to try to get my attention to ask a question during the presentation, please do. Otherwise, we can just wait until the end and take questions at the end. So just one moment while I get my screen shared. Okay, can you see my presentation screen?
Sure can.
Excellent. I'm going to just jump right in. And just so you know, I know some council members had sent in some questions to city staff. Those will be addressed as part of this as well. So if those were things that you wanted to talk more about, we can also talk more about those later. So this is really just kind of a broad overview of elected or election laws for elected officials. So this is really tailored mostly to the city council members rather than to all city staff, so that we can just talk about the kind of the do's and the don'ts and the lay of the land when it comes to election laws, because as everyone knows, it is election season. So where do we get the authority for the different ground rules for elected officials during election season? Well, we get them from the RCWs, specifically RCW 4217A 555. We also get them from the WACs, the Washington Administrative Code at 390.05.271 and at 273. And then the PDC actually has a lot of really great guidance as far as what you can and cannot do with respect to campaigning and election laws. Specifically, they have their interpretation number 0402 that are the guidelines for local government agencies in election campaigns. So let's just kind of go over some of the authority that applies to the elected officials and City of Mercer Island. So first we're going to talk about RCW 4217A 555. So I'm not going to read this whole thing to you verbatim, but really this is the statute that provides that no employee or an elected official can use their position in their office or public facilities to assist a campaign or to assist any sort of election. So there are certain exceptions to that, which we will talk about in just a moment. So what are those facilities? Those include all sorts of things. It includes things like agency letterhead, your postage, your computers, your office space, your meeting space, using people at the city. So anything that essentially the city pays for, all of your resources, those are things that are not allowed to be used for campaign purposes. And I do want to mention even public comment. So during your meeting, you have your public comment section where members of the public can come up and they can make comment about any item that is relevant to the city. That is not a time when individuals can get up and talk about campaign matters or ballot propositions. Those types of discussions are prohibited because they would be using a public facility, specifically your city hall and your city council meeting, to either oppose or be in favor of a campaign or ballot measure. So like I mentioned, there are some exceptions. You can, as an elected body, take a position on a ballot measure by actually voting on or making a collective decision on whether or not to support or oppose a ballot proposition. There are certain ground rules for that. I understand City of Mercer Island does have a ballot measure that it is going to be considering. So you have to make sure that you're following all those procedures, which we'll talk about in just a moment. But keep in mind, this only applies to the elected legislative body or elected boards, councils, or commissions. Doesn't apply to appointed bodies of the city. One moment. Sorry about that. The other exceptions are statements by an elected official that are in support or opposition to a ballot proposition at an open press conference or in response to a specific inquiry. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in just a moment. And also activities which are part of the normal and regular conduct of the agency. But what does that mean? So the WACs give us a definition of what is considered normal and regular conduct. I won't, again, read this whole thing to you, but it is there for you to take a look at. But really it's that conduct that is lawful and that is specifically authorized either expressly or by necessary implication, and that is usual. So if, for example, the city normally puts out information bulletins about various election matters, and that is part of its normal practice, that might be allowed. But if suddenly they decide that we're going to start putting posters all over City Hall, that is not something that is part of your normal and regular conduct, that would not be allowed. So it's really focusing on the things that are normal and regular conduct for your agency. So this is really fact specific. There's not going to be, this is always allowed and this is not always allowed. Again, you got to make sure that it's something that is lawful and usual and customary. You really got to think about the tone and the timing of these activities. Again, if there is a matter where it has some particular there's like a particular issue that has come up and people are really hot about it, and so all of a sudden the agency wants to take some sort of action that in the past would have never done that. You got to think about the timing of it. Is it because this one thing is the hot button issue right now, but normally we wouldn't do something like that? That's where you have to think about the timing and the tone. And really you have to look at the entire activity that's involved. And finally, marketing and sales efforts, those are not things that are normal and regular, so you would not be able to rely on that exception there. So resolution supporting or opposing ballot measures. This is what what I mentioned earlier, and something that City of Mercer Island is actually going to be considering. So you can take a position as an elected governing body on ballot measures. If that action is taken in an open meeting, and so long as you meet certain requirements, such as your meeting notice has to include the title and the number of the ballot proposition, and the members of the public and the legislative body have the same amount of time to either oppose or support the measure. So you have to give equal time in your meeting for people to speak on those items. If the people who want to speak to support the item get 10 minutes, then the people who want to speak to oppose the item should also get 10 minutes. So some additional do's and don'ts for ballot measures. You can provide factual information sheets that give information about the ballot measure if that is normal, regular, and customary for your agency to do so. Again, this has to be fact neutral, objective information. It can't include types of language that are encouraging people to vote for a particular matter. But if it is, this is what the matter is concerning, this is the result if it would pass, this is the result if it would not pass, this is the cost to the city, the cost to individuals, this is how that's broken down. That is the type of factual information that is allowed. But by putting things in that say, if this doesn't pass, then the world will end and everything will be awful and we really, really need you to do it. Otherwise, all these bad things will happen. That would not be a fair and objective, neutral document that would pass the sniff test. You can also allow campaign materials to be placed in your government buildings, but only if there's a policy that talks about how you would allow those types of materials and if it's routinely allowed. So again, we're getting back to that normal and regular conduct. If this is not something that you would normally do, but suddenly, it's a person that people really like, or it's a ballot measure that people really want, and now you allow it, that would not pass the sniff test as well, because again, it wouldn't be normal and customary. But if it's something where you have a policy and this is how you typically do it, that would then be allowed. Things that are not allowed, so as I mentioned earlier, you can't allow people to speak during public comment on ballot measures or on other campaign matters, because that is, again, using the public facility to do so. They can speak during the portion of the meeting where you have set aside time for people to express support or opposition to the ballot measure, again, within the allotted time that's set for that, but otherwise they can't get up during regular public comment to talk about it. If you don't have a policy about placing campaign materials within your government buildings, if that's not part of your normal and regular conduct, then again, you would not be allowed to do that. And you can't use public funds to challenge a proposed ballot measure in court. So what are some things that specifically elected public officials can do? So you are allowed to participate in campaign-related activities. You don't lose your First Amendment rights to participate in those activities just because you are elected officials. You can also use your title for identification purposes. So you can say that you are a city council member for the city of Mercer Island when you're making endorsements in support or opposition of a candidate or for a particular ballot measure. When you do so, however, it should be really clear that it is your personal view, even if you are identifying yourself as a city council member. You can put information about your various campaign events on your agency calendar, just so that people know where you are and when you're available and when you're not available. And you can encourage people to vote as long as it's routinely done for other types of elections. Some of the other questions that had come up during the council questions that were submitted to staff were questions about using social media accounts. So you can also use your personal social media accounts to post information about a campaign, but so long as you are making it clear that these are your personal views and that you are not speaking on behalf of the city. If you are receiving a question on your city email, however, or at City Hall or at a press conference, then you need to respond with that objective, neutral, factual information. If you don't know the answer, however, it's best that you direct the person to the Let's Talk page on the city's website or to the public records portal so that people can get more information rather than providing your opinion about things. You can also write and distribute opinion pieces on the bond measures using your personal resources, not using any city resources. Again, making it clear that it is, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scroll so quickly. Making it clear that that is your personal view and that you're not speaking on behalf of the city. All right. Next. So what can't you do? We've talked a little bit about some things that you can't do, but just to kind of go over those things again, you can't promote or oppose a candidate or a ballot measure during working hours. So work hours really refer to that time period when you're generally expected to perform your duties. When you're looking at like employees, that's typically within the standard workday from 8:30 to 5. But for council, that would also include the time at the council meetings. So this includes things like trying to gather signatures or distributing materials, your coordination for campaign matters. Those are the types of things that you cannot do during work hours. You cannot maintain individual campaign related events on agency-wide distributed calendars. Again, you can put on your calendar when you're not going to be available because you're at an event, but otherwise it cannot be part of the agency-wide calendar. Can't post signs advocating for or against candidates or ballot measures on city property. And you can't pressure employees to participate in campaign activities for ballot measures or for a candidate, or other things such as pressuring them to take positions or donate or things like that. Some other things that you need to keep in mind when you're dealing with campaign matters or OPMA issues. So if there's a meeting where 4 or more council members are attending, related to campaign matters, that could potentially trigger an OPMA requirements. So just keep that in mind. Also, when you're dealing with personal emails, any emails really, and social media, if you have a quorum of the council that is participating in a discussion, that could potentially implicate the OPMA as well. So just keep those things in mind, even if you don't have 4 people at one time communicating, but then additional people get added in so that you have a serial meeting, that could potentially be a problem. So again, just as you are going through the season, and this is something that really applies anytime when you're dealing with council discussions, just be cognizant of when the OPMA might be implicated if a quorum is involved in any discussion. Because as you know, a meeting of the governing body includes any meeting at which action is taken, and action includes just mere discussion. So public service announcements. This is the statute that prohibits people who are candidates from participating in any sort of public service announcement between January 1st and through the general election. However, this doesn't apply if this is part of the regular duties of that office. So this is maybe something that might come up for council members, but maybe not. And then finally, we have social media. We've talked a little bit about this, but it's just a really great reminder of the things that you can and can't do with your social media. So official public agency accounts cannot support or oppose a candidate or a ballot measure. You can use your private social media accounts to express your views, but again, it must make it really clear that it is your personal view and that it is not the position of the city. You still retain all your rights, your First Amendment rights, your civil rights with respect to elections and campaigning. So nothing is being taken away. It's just making clear that these are your personal views, not the views of the city. All right, and then with that, I'm all wrapped up. That was pretty quick, but if you have any additional questions that we didn't get to today, that weren't covered in the questions that were previously sent by council members, please feel free to ask now. I'm going to stop sharing, but I can put the screen back up if needed.
Sounds good. Thank you for that presentation. Council, any questions? Councilmember Reynolds.
Can you give me some guidance on, on what defines a personal social media account? And I have an account, Councilmember Craig Reynolds, that I set up on my own that I use for sharing city news, but it's not, I don't think it's owned by the city in any sense. Is that an official city account or is it a personal account?
So I have to give the standard lawyer response. It depends. So it's really going to depend on why it was created, what type of information you're putting on there. It's really important if you have created your own personal account that you make it very clear, like in the heading of your account, that this is your personal account, that these are your personal views. All views that are expressed on the account are your personal views and not the views of the city. It's merely identifying that you are a city council member, but that's really important to make sure that you're setting that boundary right away. That of course doesn't mean that people might not passively put stuff on your social media that involves city business, but making it very, very clear that it is your personal account and your personal views is definitely the first step there.
So if I put that on the profile page or whatever, I don't need to put it in every single post, correct?
No, you don't need to put it on every single post, but it's certainly not going to harm it if you set it every single time.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions, Council? Councilmember Reynolds.
So, sorry, these are kind of unique to me perhaps, but I check my city emails sometimes on my personal computer. It's set up through Outlook. That personal computer also has a personal email on it, and the technology is cool so that if an email comes into the city account, I can reply to that email from my personal account. Is that okay?
So this is more of a general public records type issue. It's not really germane to election issues, but generally, I would avoid responding to a city email, something that's concerning city business, using personal email, because
I'm asking in the context of a campaign related email that came in. So somebody emails me on a campaign matter, I can't reply from my city account. Can I reply from my personal account?
Okay, I see what you mean. So in that particular case, you should not be using your city email to be responding regarding campaign matters, but that would be the time that you could respond to that individual on your own time, not using city resources, including city email, to respond to those campaign-related matters.
Thank you.
So there's a distinction that's a little missing for me there. Is the act of replying to an email that arrived at a .gov account with a personal account in any way using a city resource?
So if you receive an email to your city email account and they're asking for your position on a ballot measure. You can respond to that from your city email account with factual, objective, neutral information. So just responding to, the question that was asked. If someone is asking for your position on a particular ballot measure or on a candidate, you cannot use your city email to do so. You could use your personal email, again, expressing that it is your personal view and not the view of the city. You could do that on your personal email.
Right, but the question I'm asking is replying to that original email that came to the .gov account using a personal account, right? So it's the text string is carrying over. Is that using a city facility in any way?
I think that is very nuanced. I haven't seen a PDC interpretation or a case that specifically addressed that. I think it would be best not to reply directly to that email. I would send a separate email rather than.
Yeah,
you
that was what I was
using that
looking for.
email at
So,
all.
so the best practice would be to go to your personal email, tap out the email address. Hey, I saw that you sent an email to the .gov account, and you were
Yes.
asking about X, and you just start a net new thread.
Yes, that would be the best thing to do.
Okay. Second question I have is about your OPMA. If it's not allowed for any of the council members to use any city resources to have a, kind of express a personal view of a ballot measure, then why would it in any way be an OPMA violation if a quorum of them got together to support a campaign and made decisions about, hey, you go doorbelling and you go raise money and you go get endorsements? Are you suggesting that the activity of a quorum of the council to work on a campaign could somehow be an OPMA violation?
Anne Maria can probably take that in. I think on the Q&A matrix, we just advised caution. It's because if there are four of you together talking about a campaign and the conversation slips into, oh, hey, we've, something, a city matter, you're very quickly into OPMA land. So if you're being very disciplined and focused solely on the campaign and not any other city business, you may be okay. But we just wanted to alert you to the potential, because we know during campaign season, often the council members are participating.
This is the most focused group of people I have ever worked with. All right, any other questions? Councilmember Reynolds.
Let's say that a campaign committee forms and wants to send out a mailer on this and list the people that have endorsed the ballot measure. They're going to have a list of names on there, and they ask if they can use my name. Do I have to say Craig Reynolds personal or something like that? What should I do to make it clear that it's my personal opinion?
I mean, you can use your name for official, or your position for official endorsements. That is something that is allowed.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Weicker.
I just want to thank you for making this clear. I've heard this before, and you're being very thorough. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I'm surprised. No do-overs in this game. Okay. All right. Well, we appreciate the time, and sorry you're not feeling well, but
Oh,
hope you
thank
get
you.
better soon. And
Thank
thanks for
you.
not bringing it
Thank you very
in.
much.
All right, thank you. All right, next up on the agenda, we have a study session. Next up on the agenda, we have the city manager's report. We welcome City Manager Jesse Bond.
Thank you, and I will, there we go. Thanks, Casey. Let me fix that. All right, next slide, please. Council, at the end of this evening's meeting, I assume you will pass a motion to cancel both meetings in August, and that will set us off onto our summer break. If you do not do that, you will have very upset city, no, okay. So we'll be taking about 6 weeks off, and then we will resume our regular meetings unless something emerging comes up during that summer break. We'll be
Just to be
back
clear,
September
the
2nd.
council is taking 6 weeks
Yes,
off.
yeah, the city
Staff
council.
will still be humming along.
Yes, it is tradition in the month of August that we do not hold council meetings, board and commission meetings, or generally public meetings, so that everyone can take a break. But yes, the city is still open for business. All right, next slide, please. A few updates. This is timely as we take some time off here from council meetings. I wanted to let you know, council, we are just a little bit behind on finishing the new parking area at the former site of Tully's Coffee. We had a little delay with our parking vendor, but we have since resolved that. We have over 100 parking signs that were just delivered to our warehouse this week. They'll be installed around the town center and in the Tully's lot, of which we still need to come up with a better name for that. We anticipate all the signs to be fully deployed by the end of the summer, so around Labor Day weekend. The new parking area is probably 2 weeks out from opening, and we'll keep you updated on email and also be putting out public communications about the new parking area. Next slide, please. Sewer project update. King County's wastewater treatment division paving subcontractor finished paving portions of the I-90 trail. That's the image you see there on the right. This work happened between Southeast 26th Street and Shorewood Drive. We're continuing to do restoration work. Also, thankfully, the roadway closures have all been reopened. That has been a huge relief on our challenging traffic situation in town center. More work ongoing. I won't read through all the details on this slide, but they're getting close to completing the project. Next slide, please. Pickleball courts, just a few housekeeping items. This probably is the most, one of the busiest features of our park system. We were closed for just a short bit while we restored the mural at the courts. That's the picture you see there on the right. I wanted to mention, Council, that the courts are so busy that we are actually going to have to schedule time to close them to clean them. We have to blow the surface off. So the staff is working through the timing of that so we can let all of our patrons know when the courts will be down for maintenance and so that we can keep up on it. Also, as you've heard, because they've been so busy, we have had a few challenges down there. So we're working through new operating policies and procedures and be rolling those out shortly too, just so that everyone can share and get along. All right, next slide. Wet well restoration. This is kind of a did you know this work was happening type of update. As you know, we have pump stations around the island that move our wastewater or sewer through our system into the lake line and then to King County for treatment. These pump stations are very old, many, many decades, and a lot of them have not been serviced for quite some time. We did an assessment, Council, you'll remember this, in 2024. We found a number of stations needed repair work and attention, and so we've been working through scheduling repairs, cleanouts since that time. Wet well cleaning was performed and completed at 9 sewer pump stations over the past few weeks. That picture there is the barge that has a crane on it that allows us to do the work. I understand it's called the Seahorse, which we use to access hard-to-reach sites. We've also been partnering with our Marine Patrol for a lot of the sewer system work. So this will be ongoing. I just wanted to let you know this is happening. Jason Kittner is on vacation this week, but we'll be planning to do a full update on this project and all of our other utility projects this fall. Next slide. Just a couple of highlights. This Thursday, if you'd like to get out, we'll be doing a native plant ID walk at Pioneer Park from 12 to 1:30. Sounds like they'll be introducing folks to native berries and other plant life. So come on out. You don't have to register. Oh, actually, you do have to register. We just don't have the link on here. It's on our Parks and Recreation page. Next slide. Heads up, National Night Out is August 5th, which is the Tuesday right after our very busy Seafair weekend here on the island. We will be hosting community event in the parking lot of our former City Hall facility near our police trailers. We'll have food trucks, a touch-a-truck, which is the term that refers to taking a look at all of our police rigs and our public works rigs. Parking will be a little tight, but I understand PD is working with Recreation on the parking plan. Also, a reminder for communities in Mercer Island, if you'd like to have a police officer come out and visit your community National Night Out event, please reach out to us and we will attempt to have somebody visit all of the local neighborhood gatherings. Next slide. Hey, we had a really fun weekend. It was good to see you all, Mr. Mayor. We're sorry that we missed you, but we hope you're recovering from your surgery. The parade was fantastic, very busy, lots of smiles. We had over 37 groups register, plus many City of Mercer Island vehicles, and the council also walked in the parade. A huge thank you for everybody that came out. It's always just a great way to kick off the summer celebration Saturday. Next slide. The daytime festivities were also a ton of fun. Very, very busy till the very end, very hot. We had over 70 booths for our vendors, sponsors. We had great bands and music, city booths. All of the city rigs were out as well as the fire trucks. It was a lot of fun. And again, really, really great music. Next slide, please. And we capped it off with our fireworks show. I really wish I had gotten a picture of that final blast because that last firework was really, really spectacular. Many thanks. So many people come together to make this happen, but I want to give a particular shout out to our sponsors. The Mercer Island Community Fund, I don't know how many years they've been sponsoring us, but many back to back. And same with the others, Mercer Island Martial Arts, Bell Harbor, John L. Scott, Windermere, the Mercer, Parent Map, Puget Sound Energy, Mercer Island City Lifestyle, Mercer Island School District, Friends of Mercer Island Library, and Dave & Buster's. Thank you so very much to everyone that came together for a wonderful event. I think that is my last slide. Thank you.
Thank you. And having just come back from this operating room and talking with the surgeon, I would add to the pickleball crowd that is his new #1 feeder sport. So if you have a hamstring and you want to break it, you either do what I did or go to the pickleball courts, and you got a good chance at it. Our next item of business is appearances, which is an opportunity for anyone to speak to the City Council on any item except items requiring a public hearing, any quasi-judicial matters or campaign-related matters. I'll note that there's a public hearing later in the agenda related to AB 6732, and if your comment pertains to that item, please hold your comments until the public hearing. City Clerk, do we have anyone signed up for public comment tonight?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, tonight's agenda will include in-person public appearances and remote public appearances via Zoom. Individuals wishing to address the City Council may do so in person or by Zoom or telephone, provided they registered with the City Clerk by 4 p.m. today. When it's your turn to speak, you'll be called by name. Remarks must be addressed to the council as a whole and not to individual council or staff members. Any person making personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks who becomes boisterous, threatening, or personally abusive while addressing the City Council may be requested to leave the meeting. Please speak audibly, state your name and city of residence for the record. There'll be a timer on the screen. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. When your time's ended, I'll thank you and move to the next speaker or item of business. City Clerk, please call the first speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Our first speaker tonight is Addie Smith. Mr. Mayor, I don't see her in the meeting. I'll move to the next speaker.
Very well.
And our next speaker is Sumita Kothari. And you can go over to the podium right over there.
Hi,
Welcome.
Council. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the time. Is my time starting? Okay. My name is Sumita Kothari. I was recently living in Los Angeles, and I lost my home in the Los Angeles wildfires. I was born and raised on Mercer Island, so it's a great, great place to come home to, and I've been back for a few months. And the reason that I am addressing you all today is because I love this community, and I fear for the civil liberties and human rights infractions being conducted in this country. I am personally worried, and looking at me, you may feel that I have nothing to worry about, so I wanted to tell you a quick story. Growing up here, when I was in middle school, my dad conducted some pretty horrific domestic violence abuses, and I called the MIPD. and they showed up, and I believe that they helped save me and my mom's life. When I was in high school, I was standing outside the QFC with a couple of friends, and I was approached by MIPD for being an African-American woman who was fleeing something that they had gotten a call from. And I remember thinking, I don't fear for my safety. I know that they're making a mistake unintentionally because I know that they're here to protect me. Different than a lot of my friends and a lot of the rebellion happening against a lot of our police departments. Right now, we're in a time where people are being targeted based off of things that they cannot control, like the color of their skin, their accent, their last name. A case of mistaken identity is much more serious. Our citizens and non-citizens alike are scared, and if I am scared, I cannot imagine how our Hispanic community members fear based off of their culture, who they may have married, or their children. I understand I could have commented something on social media or called and spoken on the phone with an aide, but I wanted to show up in person and appeal to you, human to human, to understand what we can do at a time like this. I'd like to understand how the Mercer Island Police Department and SPD are coordinating their efforts, what the plan of action is when it comes to infractions on our civil liberties, and what I can do personally to help you guys make sure that our community continues to stay safe and less violent than it was for the generations before it. Thank you.
Thank you.
There,
You're not going to hear feedback from the council. The council receives comments from the public, but if you can leave your contact information with the clerk, I'll make sure that the council has it and they can reach out to you individually.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, is there any further public comment?
there are no further speakers tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. We'll now move to the consent agenda, which contains AB 6733, certification for claims paid June 1, 2025 through June 15, 2025. City Council regular hybrid meeting minutes of July 1, 2025. AB 6728, Park Zone Code Amendment, Ordinance Number 25C-16, second reading. AB 6729, Park Zone Comprehensive Plan Amendment, Ordinance Number 25-17, second reading. AB 6734, Shopping Cart Regulations, second reading of Ordinance Number 25C-18. AB 6730, Renewal of Right-of-Way Use Agreements and Telecommunications Facilities with New Cingular Wireless PCS LLC. AB 6739, Approval of Letter of Appreciation, the 41st Delegation, District Delegation for support of state funding for Mercer Island Supply Pipeline. Council, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved. Second.
Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum, seconded by Councilmember Reynolds. City Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum.
Aye.
Councilmember Weicker.
Aye.
Councilmember Becker.
Aye.
Councilmember Andral. Aye. Mayor Neese.
Aye.
Councilmember Reynolds.
Aye.
And Councilmember Weinberg.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, consent agenda is approved. Our first item of regular business is AB 6732. It's a public hearing on interim regulations in MICC 19.16.010 related to emergency shelters and housing, transitional housing, and permanent supportive housing. First reading of ordinance number 25-15. This public hearing is now open as of 5:43 p.m. Individuals who registered with the city clerk's office before 4 p.m. today may make public comment on this agenda item. You'll be called by name when it's your turn to speak. Please speak audibly, state your name and city of residence for the record. Limit your comments to 3 minutes. City Clerk, has anyone signed up for public comment that wants to address council?
Mr. Mayor, no one signed up to speak during the public hearing.
Okay, as there's no further testimony this evening, the public portion of this hearing is closed as of 5:43 p.m. and council will return to the discussion on this item later on the agenda. Our next item of regular business is AB 6738, budget appropriation for the acquisition of real estate property by eminent domain, and we welcome Finance Director Matt Morgan. Welcome, Matt.
Good evening, Mayor Neese and members of the council. I am Matt Morgan, Finance Director. Please let me know when you see my opening slide.
Got it.
All right. I have a brief presentation of 7 slides regarding the resources to acquire the commercial building located at 9655 Southeast 36th Street here on Mercer Island. By way of background, at the June 17th meeting, the City Council authorized staff to acquire the 9655 building by eminent domain for a $9.06 million purchase price. Once we include the costs to finalize the purchase, including title insurance, transferring the title and escrow fees, the total cost to the city is estimated to be $9.08 million. As a reminder, Council, this building is adjacent to the City Hall property and is going to serve as the eventual permanent location for the Community Planning and Development Department, Public Works Administration, the Capital Project and Engineering teams, and the Youth and Family Services Department. The city has resources on hand to acquire the building that are the combined result of a one-time revenue surplus and savings at the end of fiscal year 2024, as well as resources that the City Council set aside over the previous 2 years after the closure of City Hall in 2023 that was specifically for future facility needs. And then finally, there was additional resources from the city's capital fund. Per the process of eminent domain, the funds will be deposited into an escrow account, and staff estimate that the property acquisition will be complete next month. Around the time the city takes possession of the building in the fall of 2025, staff will also pursue $1.6 million in outside financing to go towards the building purchase as set forth in Ordinance number 25-21. So this table illustrates the different resources on hand to acquire the 9655 building. Staff recommends that $3.3 million come from the general fund's unassigned fund balance, $3.36 million from the Municipal Facility Replacement Fund, which again is a fund with one-time resources that the council has grown since City Hall's closure in 2023. Nearly $1.7 million will come from resources restricted to the Capital Improvement Program via the Capital Improvement Fund, and nearly $750,000 will come from the Town Center Parking Facilities Fund, which is a fund that was established by a prior City Council to track resources for potential long-term parking in the Town Center. With the current long-term parking project at the former Tully site near completion this summer, these funds remain available and are considered general purpose, meaning that they can be used for the purchase of the 9655 building. The result is a total of $9.08 million of resources on hand to purchase the building. After the city takes ownership of the building, Ordinance number 25-21 would authorize staff to issue $1.6 million in limited tax general obligation bonds to finance a portion of the 9655 building's purchase. An additional $100,000 is included to cover the cost of issuance, although any funds remaining after those costs are accounted for will go directly to the building purchase. The ordinance limits the maximum term of the LTGO debt to 20 years and the true interest cost to no more than 6.25%. That 6.25% figure is an upper limit, and staff will undergo a competitive placement process later this year, which will likely result in a lower interest rate. Current rates are around 4.5 to 5.55%. This figure is of 6.25% is just creating flexibility as we navigate a number of unknowns in the current economic climate. Okay, so the recommendation before council is to schedule ordinance number 25-21 for second reading at the September 2nd City Council meeting and appropriate the resources that, as outlined on this slide, to the Municipal Facility Replacement Fund for acquisition of the building located at 9655 Southeast 36th Street. Okay, that's all I have. I'm going to stop sharing and see if there's any questions from the council.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Council, any questions? Okay, not seeing any questions. Is there a motion to schedule ordinance number 25-21 for second reading and adoption at the September 2, 2025 City Council meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved by Councilmember Reynolds, seconded by Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum. Any discussion? Not seeing any. City Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Andral. Aye. Councilmember Reynolds?
Aye.
Councilmember Weinberg?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum?
Aye.
Mayor Neese?
Aye.
Councilmember Becker?
Aye.
And Councilmember Weicker.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. We have one more motion. Council, is there a motion to appropriate the following available budget resources to the Municipal Facility Replacement Fund for acquisition of real property by eminent domain? A, $3,302,358 from the general fund unassigned fund balance. B, $1,670,752 from the capital improvement fund unassigned fund balance. And C, $744,082 from the town center parking facilities fund.
So moved. Second.
Okay, moved by Councilmember Weinberg, seconded by Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum. Any discussion? Councilmember Reynolds?
Just one real quick question. The closing costs were an estimate. If they end up being 22,000, what happens? Do we have to bring this to the council again?
I'm going to
Matt, did
defer
you?
to Justin or Deanna, our outside counsel, to weigh in on this.
Sorry, can I, there we go. Councilmember Reynolds, I'll just take the question. So if our estimates are short, we would come back to the council for an additional appropriation.
Okay, thank you.
The question was specific to closing costs, Matt. I'm not sure if you caught that.
Yeah, I assume the other
okay.
cost is fixed at this point, correct?
Yes, you're correct.
Okay.
Okay, any other discussion? All right, City Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Reynolds?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum?
Aye.
Councilmember Weicker?
Aye.
Councilmember Weinberg?
Aye.
Mayor Neese?
Aye.
Councilmember Andral? Aye. And Councilmember Becker.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All right, motion passes. Our next item of regular business is a combined presentation on AB 6737, the Public Safety and Maintenance Facility Bond Measure Pro-Con Committee appointments, resolution number 1671. And we welcome Senior Management Analyst Robbie Cunningham Adams and City Manager Jesse Bond.
I think we're actually starting with the presentation on the bond measure. Do we have them in the script backwards?
Yes, that was my fault.
All right, that's okay. Same theme, different topic. Good evening again, council. We have a series of items for you tonight. First, we will start with the second reading of Ordinance 2513. This is the ballot measure for the PSM facility bonds. And then we'll follow that, Mr. Mayor, with the pro and con committee. I apologize that those were out of order in your script. And Robbie, the floor is yours.
Awesome. All right. Good evening, Council. Robbie Cunningham Adams, Management Analyst. Like City Manager Bond said, we're doing the second reading of the ordinance for the PSM bond measure. I'm joined for this presentation also by Finance Director Matt Mornick. We have Bond Counsel here. We have our Finance Counsel as well if there are questions. But a short presentation. I'll start with some background. As a reminder, Council, there we go. During the July 1st meeting, you approved the first reading of ordinance number 2513 of the Public Safety and Maintenance Facility Bond Ballot Measure. At that first reading, you gave feedback on the length of the repayment schedule for the bonds. At that meeting, you also formed an ad hoc working group comprised of Mayor Neese, Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum, and Councilmember Reynolds, who worked with staff and legal counsel to review the ballot language and the explanatory statement and to provide a final recommendation to the City Council at this evening, and that language is in the exhibits of the agenda bill. Additionally, Council, at that meeting, you exempted this project, the PSM facility, from the 1% for the arts contribution requirement. That has reduced the project budget and the principal amount of these bonds from $103.9 million to $160,000, and that will be reflected in the financial impact statement discussed by Finance Director Mornick later. And you approved the ordinance for second reading at tonight's meeting. So actions needed this evening, we're seeking adoption of ordinance number 2513 and a final approval of the explanatory statement language that we will send to the county to be in the election guidebook. And I'll hand it off to Matt at this point.
All right, thanks, Robbie. Just to confirm, we're on slide 5?
Correct.
All right, okay, I can't see it. But that's okay. So this is the second reading of the bond levy ordinance number 25-13. And as a reminder, Council, this ordinance would place a measure on the November 4th, 2025 general election ballot for the Mercer Island voters to decide whether to pay for the design, construction, and equipping of the public safety and maintenance facility by issuing unlimited tax general obligation bonds and collectively paying the debt service on these bonds with an excess property tax levy. Next slide. Since the first reading of the ordinance, an ad hoc working group consisting of Mayor Neese, Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum, and Councilmember Reynolds met with staff and legal counsel to fine-tune the proposition as it will be presented on the November election ballot. It includes three parts: the caption to identify the city and the subject matter, the description, which is limited to 75 words, and the question to voters. We're going to review the language as updated by the ad hoc working group in a few slides. Next slide. The ordinance also establishes the bond's limits, both for the total amount of $103.16 million and the repayment schedule to 25 years. Next slide. Okay, so this table provides context into the potential financial impacts resulting from the bond. So this is an example using the limits established in the ordinance, as well as a 4.5 interest rate, which is based on current market conditions. Interest rates and when the bonds are issued will depend on market conditions and the overall project timeline at that point in time. But in this example, staff estimates that the resulting total annual debt service to the city is just above $7 million, which results in about $55 per month for a Mercer Island household with a home that has an assessed value of $2 million. Next slide. Oops. As I mentioned earlier, the ad hoc working group met with staff and updated language in both the ballot proposition and the explanatory statement. So I'm going to ask Robbie to advance to slide number 10 and introduce City Manager Bond to speak to the work that was completed since the July 1st council meeting. Jesse?
Yeah, thank you. So on your screen is the revised ballot proposition. I emailed you yesterday because we had a couple of additional minor edits, thanks to the good work of our working group. I will mention that tonight your approval of the ordinance approves the ballot proposition language that you see there and also the explanatory statement. We will submit everything to King County. They may come back to us with some changes. With the Parks Levy, we did have a couple things we needed to adjust. Should that happen, you are giving myself and our city attorney the authority to make any final revisions or corrections. Thank you to Salim, Dave, and Craig for your time. It was a lot of work. There's a few words there, but it's very technical. I appreciate the partnership.
And just to close this out, I think Jesse just said upon approval of the ordinance, I will send the paperwork to the county as needed by the deadline. Our recommendation is council's adoption of the ordinance, and we'll happy to take any questions.
Okay. Council, any questions at this point? Ballot language? No. Motions? I only have a motion for a pro-con committee.
Mr. Mayor, I checked the script. If you go back a page, it looks like you skipped a page.
I'm that fast. Okay. All right. Not seeing any discussion. Council, is there a motion to adopt ordinance number 25-13, providing for the submission on the November 4, 2025 election, a ballot measure for public safety and maintenance facility bonds?
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
Can I
Moved
make
by
a
Councilmember.
quick comment?
Yep.
Obviously, this is a key milestone in what has been a very, very long project. We have talked over the last 4 years, according to the staff, close to 40 different meetings feature discussions about facilities. It's been a lot. I want to thank the staff who's done an incredible job, and also the council over that time, where we've looked at what started a very large option of a menu of options in terms of what we would do with our facilities. Obviously, our hand was forced pretty strongly when City Hall closed, but we took a really extensive look at what made sense. There was some field work, obviously, a lot of site visits and talking with other councils and other cities. I just wanted to say thanks. So this is a big milestone. Obviously, there's a long way to go here in this process and this project, but getting here took a lot of work and a lot of thought, and I think it's been very thorough and thoughtful, so I just want to say thanks to everyone who's been involved.
Okay, so that motion was moved by Weinberg, seconded by Reynolds. Any other discussion? Okay, City Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Weinberg,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum,
Aye.
Councilmember Weicker,
Aye.
Mayor Neese,
Aye.
Councilmember Becker,
Aye.
Councilmember Reynolds,
Aye.
and Councilmember Andral.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so that's going to get us back to ProCon.
Correct. Now that we officially have a ballot measure this fall, as you remember, council, about a month ago, you directed staff to commence recruitment for pro and con committee. I believe we have sent you the applicants to both committees, and seeking your approval tonight of resolution number 1671. I think we already have it pre-populated with the applicants. Happy to take any questions.
Okay, council, any questions about the applicant's ProCon? All right. Is there a motion to approve resolution number 1671 and appoint Robert Sulkin, Benson Wong, and Russell Fetterman to the Pro Committee and Mike Ciro to the Con Committee?
So moved.
Okay. It is moved by Councilmember Reynolds, seconded by Councilmember Weicker. Any discussion? All right, please call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Andral. Aye. Mayor Neese,
Aye.
Councilmember Weinberg,
Aye.
Councilmember Becker,
Aye.
Councilmember Weicker,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum,
Aye.
and Councilmember Reynolds.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All right, motion passes. Our next item of regular business is AB 6732, a discussion on interim regulations in MICC 1916-010 related to emergency shelters and housing, transitional housing, and permanent supportive housing. First reading of ordinance number 25-15. We welcome CPD Director Jeff Thomas. Do we have Jeff? Might not have him, but I see Molly has joined us.
Hi, Molly, welcome.
Yeah, I can just
Go
go
ahead.
ahead and jump
Yeah.
into the presentation, or do you have,
Nope, why don't you go ahead and get started? Thanks, Molly.
Great. All right. So this is for the renewal of interim regulations related to emergency shelters, transitional housing, and permanent supporting housing in response to House Bill 1220. So to provide a quick overview of the background of this project, state legislature passed House Bill 1220, which required amendments to Title 19 in September of 2021. And then between 2022 and 2023, interim regulations were renewed several different times for 6-month periods. And then those interim regulations lapsed in 2024, so they were reinstated, and then renewed again in just a few months ago in March of 2025 for an additional 6 months. So they are set to expire again in October if they are not renewed. As a reminder, House Bill 1220 requires cities to allow transitional or supportive or permanent supportive housing and indoor emergency shelters and housing in all residential zones and zones where hotels are allowed. So there are also requirements where the regulations regarding occupancy, spacing, and intensity must be reasonable and cannot be used to prevent the siting of a sufficient number of housing units necessary to meet the island's projected need. In 2024, Commerce published guidance referred to as STEP housing guidance, which is related to spacing requirements and other issues in House Bill 1220. And so some of the spacing requirements in the code to the siting of group housing will need to change when developing the permanent regulations, among other things that staff is actively looking into as we speak. So Ordinance 2515 would renew the interim regulations established last year with no changes, and this consists of amendments to the definition of social service housing and special needs group housing to comply with House Bill 1220. And permanent regulations would be adopted by the end of this year as part of one of the other items on the agenda this evening for the Omnibus Ordinance. So this will likely be the last time that we need to renew these interim regulations since they are included in that ordinance. The recommended action is to hold a public hearing and schedule the ordinance 2515 for a second reading at the next meeting on September 2nd. And that concludes my presentation.
Okay, thank you, Molly. And I see Jeff has joined us. Jeff, was there anything that you wanted to add to that?
No, I apologize. The council is moving a little bit quicker this afternoon than what I had anticipated there a moment ago. Molly gave a good summary of the situation. Perhaps the most important point was her last one. This will be a good segue into our next item, trying to roll some interim regs off the books, but we do need to do this one more time.
Sounds good. And we've already had the public hearing. So council, any questions? Not seeing any questions. Is there a motion to schedule ordinance number 25-15 for second reading on September 2nd, 2025?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved by Councilmember Weicker, seconded by Councilmember Reynolds. Not seeing any discussion. Please call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Becker.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum.
Aye.
Councilmember Weinberg.
Aye.
Councilmember Weicker.
Aye.
Councilmember Reynolds.
Aye.
Councilmember Andraw.
Aye.
And Mayor Neese.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, our next item of regular business is AB 6735, scope of work on the Omnibus Ordinance related to permanent regulations for housing production and permit streamlining. And we welcome back CPD Director Jeff Thomas.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, council. Joining me is Adam Zach from our department for this item. He's going to walk through a short slide deck providing an overview of the materials that were in your agenda bill. Just before Adam gets started, just to build on my previous comment from the other item that Molly had, we went through a couple years here of racing, if you will, from interim regs to try and keep up with the mandates from the state legislature, with all the activity that we've seen over the last 3 legislative sessions. What we're really doing here, and as Adam's going to explain in his presentation, now we hope we're done with the interim regs by and large, but we need to start transitioning from the interim regs to permanent regs. So working behind the scenes, what we've identified are a group of interim regs that we feel are appropriate to move together. And Adam's going to jump in with 8 or 9 slides to explain that a little bit further. So Adam, whenever you're ready.
Thanks, Jeff. Let me share my screen. All right, here we are. Just move that over here. So, as Jeff mentioned, we'll be looking at a scope of work for an omnibus ordinance that will address permanent regulations for housing production and permit streamlining. And our purpose tonight is to get your approval of that scope of work for that omnibus ordinance so that we can get that all taken care of before the end of the year. For some background, the Washington State Legislature has kept us very busy the last few years. They've adopted many bills that require local jurisdictions, cities and counties to amend their development code. And since 2021, we at Mercer Island have adopted several interim ordinances to maintain compliance with that changing state law. And as we've seen, those interim ordinances, they only temporarily amend the code, and so they need to be renewed every 6 months. And that's proven to be quite the undertaking just to keep those regularly updated. The omnibus ordinance that we're proposing in this project would adopt permanent regulations to address nearly all of the interim ordinances all at the same time in one fell swoop. Many sections of our city code are amended by more than one of those interim ordinances. So this omnibus ordinance will give us a chance to look at how all of those code amendments interact in that one section to make sure that they're all that we make one change that's consistent with all of those overlapping requirements from the state. So we can look at kind of the sum total of the amendments in each section. There are 7 topics that we'll be seeking to address with the Omnibus ordinance. There's House Bill 1220, which is affordable and emergency housing. You can consider it an ordinance to renew those regulations earlier tonight. House Bill 6015 has to do with residential parking requirements. That was most recently renewed with Ordinance 25C08. And so we're hoping to get that taken care of with this without needing to renew that again before the end of the year. There's House Bill 1293, which has to do with clear and objective design standards. That was addressed with an interim ordinance in June, Ordinance 25C11. Then there's Senate Bill 5290, which relates to permit review timelines. That was addressed with interim ordinance 24C17, which expires by the end of the year. So this omnibus ordinance should take care of that without requiring a renewal. Then there's House Bill 1998, which relates to co-living housing. This is a set of amendments that need to be made before the end of this year. So we haven't actually adopted an interim ordinance to address that topic yet. But this omnibus ordinance would address it in time before we need to do that. Then there's the Design Commission. So as we were, or as you were working on House Bill 1293, those design standards, the Design Commission was dissolved through that process. And so we need to go through the code and just make sure that it's clear who the decision maker is for the different types of design review. And we can also at the same time remove the references to the Design Commission throughout. And then finally, the comprehensive plan implementation. So when we updated the comprehensive plan at the end of last year, we adopted some interim ordinances to implement or to amend the code to implement the updated plan. Those will expire at the end of 2025, and the omnibus ordinance will replace those before the end of the year. This was specifically the work in Town Center that we looked at, the maximum building height and affordability requirements. So we're going to kind of wrap all of that together into this omnibus ordinance. Conspicuously not on that list is the middle housing ADUs and unit lot subdivision. We will not be addressing these 3 topics with the omnibus ordinance. We're planning to come back to you with the scope of work for adopting permanent regulations for these 3 topics in 2026 or early 2026. And this is really to give us additional time to conduct some public outreach, given the level of public interest that we've had or that we've heard for these 3 specific topics. So doing them in their own project will give us a chance to do some more public outreach without holding up those other 7 topics that I was talking about on the previous slide. The scope of work, sorry, is there a question?
Adam, if I can just jump in there quickly for a second, if you can go back 1 slide. Council, in addition to what Adam just said regarding this effort here in 2026, those interim regs are going to expire mid-year in 2026. So the goal will be to actually not renew any of those interim regs and successfully conduct our additional public outreach and education and do the full legislative review process through the Planning Commission and to City Council before mid-year. So in the spirit of not trying to renew interim regs to the greatest extent possible. Go ahead, Adam.
All right, thanks. So the scope of work that we're asking you to approve today, oh, sorry, I see a hand up. Is there, before I keep going, is there another question?
Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum.
I'll hold off till, I just want to get first in the queue, but I'll hold off till,
Okay, great. So the scope of work before you today that we're asking you to approve will give the Planning Commission a clear direction about the timeframe to deliver their recommendation. This will help us kind of plan out the next couple of meetings for the Planning Commission so that we can get this all wrapped up in time to avoid some of those renewals. It proposes that the planning commission will get 5 touches or up to 5 touches on the omnibus ordinance prior to delivering their recommendation. So that'll give them a lot of time, or a good amount of time to consider those, the amendments that are proposed. And all of this would be working towards getting a draft, a recommendation for you to consider before the end of 2025. We're targeting November for that delivery of the recommendation. The schedule kind of starts immediately next week. The planning commission would get briefed on the scope of work, and then the 7 issues that I outlined earlier in the presentation. Then in August, we'll release the code amendment package for public comment with a 30-day public comment period, very similar to how we did the design standards earlier this year, to give the public the opportunity to give us their comments and weigh in. Then on the 10th, we'll brief the Planning Commission on the code amendments. The 24th, the Planning Commission will hold their public hearing. And then they can either make their recommendation then, or we'll have meetings planned for October 8th and 22nd for them to continue their deliberations if necessary. All of this would be all of this work would come together to bring you a recommendation on November 4th, and then a tentative plan for second reading on the 18th of November to get us to an effective date on December 31st. So our recommended action for this agenda bill is to approve the scope of work and direct the Planning Commission to commence its legislative review. That concludes my presentation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, looks like you're going to Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum.
Yeah, thanks. Adam, not exactly a question here, but, you know, in the schedule that you built out, it seems like there might not be a ton of time, if any of this slides, especially given that we would have to then renew these ordinances. So I don't know if it's a formal direction from the council, but it certainly seems like we would ask the Planning Commission to move quickly in this review. So I don't know if we need something formal on that, but I certainly think that the schedule calls for some quick but thorough work.
Yeah, I think the intent is that by having you approve this schedule, that really lays out that meeting timeline for the Planning Commission, that gives them the direction that they need to, that we'll conclude our work prior to the end of October. And I'm planning to, when we brief the Planning Commission, I'm planning to give them that outline and kind of have our deadline be October 22nd. So we can make sure we get there.
Great, because as the city manager noted before, we might have an angry city manager if we also have that second meeting in December to finalize these.
We, part of our strategy here that you saw on the schedule, Deputy Mayor and Council, is getting the code amendment package out in August for the Planning Commission and public review. What we're hoping is when we get to that first meeting in September 10th, I believe was the date, we'll have a pretty good idea of, you know, what we believe will be the Planning Commission's course of direction here on this. And we can certainly, we feel like we've got the, with the compressed Planning Commission schedule, even though it could be 5 meetings, that we'll have adequate time to shift gears if we need to and do some interim regulations in a timely fashion.
Great, thank you.
Councilmember Reynolds.
I've been growing concerned for a while with the growing stack of interim regs, so I'm very happy and grateful to Director Thomas and Mr. Zach and the rest of the staff for coming up with a creative solution to address them all at once. I think this is a great idea, and hopefully we can clear the decks somewhat. I know that the Planning Commission has been one of the bottlenecks in this process for a while, and I know they have quite a list of docketed items besides these items. Can you just remind the council what else is on their docket and what the prospects are for timing for addressing those things, assuming you complete this work in this year?
So let's take that, good question. Let's take it in 2 parts. First of all, let's just speak briefly to the Planning Commission work for the rest of this year. Once this activity moves along, if this is the scope and schedule that we're going to work off of, The next item up for the Planning Commission will be the 2025 docket process. And then that will come to council either late November or that meeting in December. And then I do anticipate we'll start introducing the second omnibus ordinance, if you will, that will come in 2026, there at the end of 2025 to the Planning Commission, much like we're going to introduce this package to them in July, and then they'll start the work in September. I envision we'll introduce it to them in December, and they will then, along with the public education and outreach component, begin their work starting in January. We do have docketed items that need to be tended to. Downhill facade height is a popular one that comes to my mind off the top of my head. We also have a rezone and comprehensive plan map amendment that was docketed. Was that last year or 2 years ago? I forget now. And we do have a couple of other docketed items as well. So those are the next wave that are coming. The rezone and the comprehensive plan land use map amendment, I will just note, we are waiting for a formal application from those applicants to be able to get that process underway. And there has been some brief communications here in the last couple of months to that effect. So yeah, we've definitely got some work in the queue. The work seems to be never ending, but this effort here, and plus with the middle housing package at the top of next year, I do foresee that will help sweep some of these interim regs off the books for good, and we will be able to get on with that other important business, council member, that you asked about.
Just a quick question. I didn't catch the thing you said. Right before the rezone, you listed another one. What was that?
Oh, it's one of the docketed items from the code, downhill facade height for residential zones. That was a popular, you may recall we had competing proposals to docket that item a couple years ago. And anyway, so yes, there's definitely some community interest in that one, and will be an important effort to complete.
And then the hedge height one, I think, is on the list as well, and that comes after the rezone, I take it, assuming the app comes through on that.
Yeah, they're all going to come right around the same time, that suite of other docketed items. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And I think it is the will of the council how those get ordered. So if the council wills to change the order, particularly if applicants haven't submitted the requisite paperwork, then have at it. All right, Councilmember Weicker.
All right, scope and schedule, Jeff and Adam. So public engagement, I presume, is all going to be on Let's Talk. It's a lot to kind of absorb for everyone being busy in the summer and the fall. Like, could you talk a little bit about that outreach besides those meetings?
Yeah, for the omnibus ordinance, we will put together a Let's Talk page, similar to how we did with the design standards. That'll be our primary way of disseminating the information as we get it. And then the public will have the opportunity to weigh in at those 5 Planning Commission meetings as well. So there's opportunities there to address the Planning Commission directly, not to mention the public access at your meetings.
Councilmember Weinberg.
Yeah, I just wanted to give kudos to Jeff, Adam, and the CBD staff for coming up with this creative way to batch together a bunch of items and create some more efficiency in the process.
Okay.
Thanks.
Any other discussion? Not seeing any. Council, I'm looking for a motion to approve the scope of work and direct the Planning Commission to commence legislative review.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Moved by Councilmember Weinberg, seconded by Councilmember Reynolds. Not seeing any discussion. City Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mayor Neese.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum.
Aye.
Councilmember Reynolds.
Aye.
Councilmember Becker.
Aye.
Councilmember Andral.
Aye.
Councilmember Weicker.
Aye.
And Councilmember Weinberg.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All right, motion passes. We now move to other business in the planning schedule. We welcome City Manager Jesse Bond.
Thank you again, council. As I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, we do not hold council meetings or board and commission meetings in the month of August. And I believe we have in the script then a motion to cancel both of your August meetings, and I don't have any other comments on the schedule.
Okay, council, looking for a motion to cancel the August 5 and August 19 regular city council meetings.
So moved.
All right, moved
Second.
by Councilmember Becker, seconded by Councilmember Reynolds. Not seeing any discussion, please call the roll.
Councilmember Weicker. Aye. Councilmember Weinberg.
Aye.
Mayor Neese.
Aye.
Councilmember Becker.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum.
Aye.
Councilmember Andral. Aye. And Councilmember Reynolds.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All right, council, any upcoming absences to report? Nope. All right, we'll go to council member reports. Deputy Mayor Rosenbaum, anything to report?
Yeah, I want to, real quick here, first of all, say thanks to the staff. The summer celebration was incredible. It was, I think, just a phenomenal community experience. I also want to note that there were, it was, I think, a difficult day for a lot of people who experienced, there were a number of posters that were deliberately hung on the parade route that were deeply offensive. They're all over social media. Folks want to see more, but you know, this is one of these things where this is a community event that's designed to bring the whole community together, and it's deeply troubling that someone so deliberately would try to do the opposite and divide people. And I want to apologize to people who were hurt by those posters, and they were abhorrent. I also want to thank the people who took their time out of their day to take them down. I understand it was not easy. So, and also thank the community. I heard from a lot of folks that reached out to say how sorry they were that had happened. The posters targeted, I would say, the Jewish community. You know, it's just terrible to see these things happening.
Agreed. All right, I have nothing to report. Councilor Weicker.
Okay, I just want to say it was all hands on deck this weekend. I think I saw almost every single staff person I know. So thank you so much to everybody throughout the entire organization for showing up and pulling off such an amazing, successful, fun, safe event from start to finish. The parade was awesome. The music all day was awesome. The booths were fun. And then the highlight of the fireworks, you guys knocked it out of the park. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Everyone I know had a fantastic time. And then closer to home, I want to thank Molly, Adam, and Robbie for all their great staff work tonight. You guys are amazing, so thank you for all the work you've done to bring it forward to council so we can have easy meetings.
Councilor Weinberg.
Just wanted to second or third, I guess, the compliments on summer celebration. In a word, it was legendary. And as usual, my next monthly open lunch will be at 12 p.m. on Sunday, July 20th at Homegrown. The address, of course, is 3016 on 78th Avenue Southeast. And as always, all are welcome. It's an open agenda, news, sports, weather, humor, even questions about city business if you like. All I ask is that everybody please show your respects to the chef by ordering some food and or beverage, and let me know if you're coming so I can reserve a large enough table.
Okay, Councilor Reynolds.
Have a wonderful August.
Councilmember Andral.
Yeah, I wanted to also thank all of the staff for all their work on the summer celebration. I'm very grateful to the city, everyone in the city who worked on it. I'm grateful to the city leadership, and also to Jake Jacobson for the being movers to bring this back. It was very much fun. It kind of reminds me of that old song that says, you don't know what you've got till it's gone. I missed the summer celebration when it was gone, and I think extra excited to be able to participate in it again. So shout out to staff for putting that all together. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Becker.
I'll say one final thanks also on summer celebration. We had a great time. My son enjoyed it, and I just wanted to call out watching all these kids in the foam party getting soaked with their clothes. They were just having an amazing time, and I appreciate the efforts for the city to try to bring the community together.
Okay, the next regular scheduled hybrid city council meeting will be on Tuesday, September 2nd, beginning at 5 p.m. The time is now 6:28 p.m. As a reminder, council, please stay seated until the city's terminated broadcast. Good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight.